If you're building a personal brand on LinkedIn, here's the exact execution of the content strategy I use with the founders I work with, the rule of 100. So this is basically posting for 100 consecutive days without skipping or taking breaks. See, most people, they post inconsistently. They post maybe 3 times a week, nothing the next week, 5 posts after, sometimes they reshare from someone else, and then they disappear for another month. But this inconsistency, it kills momentum because the algorithm rewards consistency and your audience rewards consistency as well. But when you post inconsistently and disappear after a while, the algorithm doesn't know how to treat your content. It doesn't know if you're serious or if you're just posting, randomly whenever you feel like it. So it doesn't prioritize your content and the overall reach, it stays low. And your audience doesn't take you seriously either because they see you post a few times and then disappear. They think you're not committed or you're just testing things out. They don't follow you closely because they don't know when or if you'll show up again or not, right? So those 100 consecutive days solves both of these problems. It signals to the algorithm that you're serious and it signals to your audience that you're committed. But here's a more important reason for why the 100 days. The 100 days is, I believe, the minimum amount of time it takes to gather the data you need. You need to see which content type gets engagement, which formats resonate the most, and which topics your audience actually cares about the most. Every post you create, of course, falls into one of the 4 types, and we rotate through these 4 types so your content stays varied and your audience doesn't get bored. The 4 types are tactical, case studies, industry insights, and personal stories. Now, tactical content is actionable advice your audience can use immediately. Frameworks, processes, breakdowns, the how-to content. And this type of content just brings people in because it establishes your expertise without having to say you're an expert. You're not claiming to know something, you're demonstrating it by educating the audience or showing it to them. Now, this tactical content, it performs well because people can immediately apply it and they get value from it without having to buy anything from you. The next is case studies. Now, these are stories of specific outcomes you've delivered for clients. Not just, we did this or we did that, but actual transformations with context. The before state, what you did, the after state. Case studies just prove you can deliver because anyone can give advice, right? But not everyone can show results. So when someone reads a case study and they see themselves in the before state, they think this person can help me get to that after state as well. That's credibility. And it shortens the sales cycle because they're already convinced you can deliver before they even get on a call with you or that conversation in the messages even begins. Next is industry insights. And these are basically your take on trends, changes, what's happening in your space. And this just positions you as a thought leader who sees what others miss. So you're not just executing, you're observing and interpreting what's happening. Now, industry insights, they show that you're paying attention to the bigger picture and you're not just in the weeds of execution, right? Finally, is the personal stories. Now, this is your journey, your lessons learned, anything that humanizes the overall brand and connects to the buyers on an emotional level. Because see, this trust that's being built, it's on a much deeper level because people tend to see themselves in your story. And when you share a story about, let's say, a failure or a turning point in your life, or let's say a lesson learned the hard way, people relate to that. They think this person isn't perfect. This person struggled too. This person is real. That builds connection, and connection is what builds trust. So we rotate through these 4 types so your content stays varied. One day, let's say it's tactical. The next day, it's case studies. Then it's industry insights. And the next is personal stories. And you kind of repeat this cycle. All 4 types of content work together, creating a complete picture of who you are and what you do. Now, here's what happens after those 100 days. You have real data on what works. Which content type performed best, which formats got the most engagement, which topics resonated. And that data tells you what to double down on and what to improve. So let's say if carousels are working, you start posting more carousels. But if tactical content is getting more engagement, than personal stories, you shift the ratio to, let's say, favor tactical slightly more. Again, you're not guessing anymore, you're using data. So the 100 days gives you enough posts to see those clear patterns. And here's the best part. What happens after the 100 days is that you build recognition with your audience. Now, people don't remember you after seeing one post, but once they've consumed like 10 or 20 or 30 different pieces, that name, it constantly shows up in their feed repeatedly. That builds familiarity. And familiarity builds trust, and this trust is what shortens those sales cycles. So by the time someone reaches out to you after seeing your content, they already feel like they know you, right? They've read your profile, they've gone, watched your videos, they've seen your name over and over again. So you're not a stranger to them anymore. You're actually familiar. So they're not evaluating whether you're credible. They've already decided you are. And that's why the conversations that happen there onwards are just about fit and alignment.